I'm happy you're here. Thank you for joining me here in my bed, and thank you for joining me for my little ASMR show. Here my job is basically to help you find calm with some good unintentional ASMR, but also some intentional ASMR, and also some ideas to find calm. And just so you know, before you get anxious, I'm not going to talk about coronavirus all the time. That's really not what I want to focus on, but I just thought I want to maybe pick a theme, and I do actually have some ideas about it, and some unintentional ASMR even, and I think I might be able to help you gain some perspective and lose some anxiety, unless you're super calm already, which is great too. And I'm really looking forward to this because I have a lot to show you, and here's a short preview of what you can expect from this video.
So much energy flowing, so much love. What I'd like to do is show you what it was like to edit in Gypsy, in particular, the role of cut and paste, which were new commands at that time.
Pre-moisten it?
I barely believe in as a concept.
I was definitely also thinking of New Zealand when I thought about a place to flee to, because there's so many nice remote places and beautiful nature. Yeah, so just so you know, I thought I would mix up the segments a bit in this video just to make it a bit more relaxing. So yeah, I actually thought to start with some unintentional ASMR, because that's why you're here, right? And actually I did find a coronavirus themed unintentional ASMR video. At least I found it relaxing. I know the topic isn't relaxing at all, but it's basically from a press conference in Beijing, which happened on the 28th, pretty recently. And it's basically about state officials giving an update about how many patients were cured. And the topic obviously isn't relaxing, but I think the translators really have a really nice, heavenly, soft voice. And I want to show you some bits and tell me if you agree.
Welcome to the press conference of the Joint Prevention and Control Mechanism of the State Council. President Xi has emphasized the importance of stepping up treatment, expand bed capacity, adopt medical intervention as early as possible, so as to ensure treatment at the early stage when it was mild case. Premier Li Keqiang has also emphasized the importance of increasing cure rate. The recovered patients can take rehabilitation in community or in home environment. For the recovered patients from severe cases, such service should be provided by specialized health institutions. Respiratory disease rehabilitation needs an array of health management measures. First, we require standardized lung function recovery assessment. Therefore, we emphasize very much individualized and personalized rehabilitation services, including the cardiovascular and lung function exercises, the oxygenated exercises, the strength exercises, and also psychological counseling.
Since the outbreak of the epidemic, the healthcare system, especially the medical professionals, have been mobilized to help Wuhan. Throughout the country, we have sent the elite medical teams with a total number of 42,000. The pathogenic anatomy is a high-risk practice. Let me express my appreciation to experts and the pathologists involved. President Xi Jinping points out that medical professionals are the mainstay against the epidemic. It is of paramount importance to protect their health. We have made arrangements for medical consultation services to be provided. We request the local authorities to set up provincial online platforms for medical consultations, and companies with available conditions to set up platforms so that the medical institutions or facilities are able to offer online services.
We've adopted measures on two fronts. First, in case management. As Inspector Guo has mentioned, we have an array of treatment guidances, and we have been updating the guidances to guide clinical practices. And many of the recovered patients have selected one thing, that is to donate their plasma to help more people to recover. We wait for the spring blossoms, which might be the season we see the recovery of all the patients. We also hope all our heroes and medical staff can come back safely home.
So what did you think about it? Did you also kind of like these voices? I mean, they do sound kind of like anime characters or something, but I just like foreign accents. And also to me, frankly, it was kind of reassuring because they do seem to do a pretty good job at crisis management, and they don't seem to completely freak out. And I think they do have declining numbers of newly infected, so I really have good hopes that eventually we are able to overcome this crisis. Next, I want to show you two different healers. One of them you might know already, but as you might have heard of, it's important to strengthen your immune system, and I thought we need some good spiritual healers to improve your natural defenses. And the first one is a pretty interesting guy who wears a bandana. He kind of looks like a gang member in a way. His style of healing is basically this South American limpia energy spirit cleansing that you might have heard of, and I made actually a compilation on this very channel about this. But I do kind of enjoy the way he does it. He doesn't pretend to be this great spiritual guru, but he just kind of tries to help people, and maybe you enjoy it as well. So here's a few moments of this spiritual limpia healer.
So I'm going to have Kelly, if you could just stand right here. Know with all of your heart and with your whole being that the Holy Spirit, the Divine Mother, is with you. That the very breath of creation is with you. And she is breathing upon you now. Archangel Michael is here. Archangel Gabriel is here. Archangel Raphael is here. And the Divine Mother comes from above and below. All of the beautiful energy that's here with you today is a reflection of your own light. And it is coming forth in a very powerful and beautiful way. And I'm just going to smudge you now with some Palo Santo wood. You're doing really good. Thank you for opening your heart. And the work that is happening here has nothing to do with me. It's the angel's gift to you. You're doing really good. There's a lot of beautiful energy. Just breathe it all in. It's for you. The breath of the Divine Mother blows upon you. The winds of creation are blowing upon you. Breathe them in. So I'm going to use the egg. So I'm going to rub the egg down your body, and it absorbs negative energy. Powerful presence of Archangel Michael here. Those other angels we brought into the circle are here, but he's primarily right now. Sorry. There was something opening up hugely in your heart center. You're doing really good. You have a lot of angels on your journey that are walking with you, and they're helping the light that's inside come out. They're helping you speak your truth. And they're helping you to come forth in a very powerful way. Lots of communication, gifts of communication. You're really doing a good job of just taking in the energy and the love, the Holy Spirit and the angels, and just letting anything go that you need to. I can feel it. So now when we use these roses, just like the egg, but honor all of the divinity, all of the beauty, all of the light that's inside of you. All the beautiful energy that's here with you, and all the love is a reflection of who you are. Just keep breathing. Breathe in all the love that's here for you, all the power, all the graces that are here. So much energy flowing, so much love. It's flowing through your whole field, your body. Just breathe it in. You have a good heart. Lots of light shining in you. Beautiful, amazing energy. It's really a pleasure to work with you. You have a lot of angels that are going to open up your path to you in a very, very powerful way. There's a powerful light shining in you, and they're going to open up your career in a very, very powerful way. They're going before you, and they're making a way clear. But they want you to know just you being you is enough. That's all you need to do to shine your light. And you're doing that. Thank you. How you feeling? I'm going to put this water on you just to kind of ground you. And then we're done. Thank you very much. How do you feel?
Very good.
Good? Thank you. Blessings. Thank you.
And then second, from that same channel, there's this other healer who I actually featured already beforehand, but he's just too great and I didn't really show much. I just enjoy the way he writes down everything and the way he heals just by, he scans your body, and then he kind of does an ASMR session, to be honest, by massaging and saying the same stuff in a hypnotic manner. Just check it out and see if it helps you find calm.
Now, Catherine, I tell people if they have a lot of things they'd like healing for, try to focus on no more than your top 3 things. The simpler you describe it, the better. But then I'm going to check a lot of things automatically. I'm going to check the organs, the glands, the nerves. I'm going to check the emotional body, the mental body, and the spiritual centers. So I'm going to have you come up to the table right now and just lay down on your stomach. Your right leg looks about 3/4 to an inch shorter. This one. Okay, so I'm going to be quiet and I'm just going to tune in and get some information first. Okay, I'm going to do some healing first, and then I'm going to do some muscle work around your back second. Now, about 50% of the people I work with, when I'm doing the healing and God's working through me, about 50% sense something at the time. Things like heat, tingling, a sense of peace, a sense of love, a wave sensation traveling over the body, or a sense that someone's holding their feet, even when I'm not touching them. But usually about 90% notice in that first 24 hours after the healing that their symptoms are diminished or gone. So at any given point in time, whatever the individual is allowing themselves to receive with the healing usually manifests very, very fast. Okay, you can get back up and sit in the chair. Okay, I'm going to do some healing first, and then I'm going to do some muscle work around your back second. When I'm doing the healing and God's working through me, about 50% sense something at the time.
So how did you like this? Did it help you find calm a bit? Because stress is one of the big killers of your immune system. So one of the best things you can do right now is to take time for yourself and find calm. Before we go on with some other unintentional ASMR, I wanted to talk about some ideas that might help you find calm. Because actually a while ago I wrote down a few things about the coronavirus. It was basically just when it emerged end of January in China. There was only 40 deaths or something. But I already wrote down some recommendations which I think are still valid. And just in case you're interested, I write these letters every Sunday on findcalm.com/Sunday. And I also put some pics for unintentional ASMR and some pics for intentional ASMR in those, but also some ideas and some articles on how to find calm. So I'm just gonna read what I think is noteworthy about my recommendations on how we should behave in such difficult times. What can we do if we feel anxious about the state of the world? I get it. I sometimes get anxious about the world too. It's especially hard to stomach for people high in empathy. But there's a few things that really helped me. First, recognize the media as sensationalizing and clickbaiting. In today's day and age, the most outrageous headlines win. Social media content creators and even large media publications have figured out the best way to make us click on their content. It has to be loud and make us angry and fearful. In a morbid way, newspapers would love if a war or pandemia started, because more bad news equals more readers and viewers. This clickbaiting trend clouds the fact that the world continuously gets better. Less wars, less crime, less poverty, less diseases. As demonstrated by Steven Pinker, we live in the most prosperous and peaceful times by basically every measure. So don't fall in the negativity trap set by the media. Make a media fast instead. Don't read newspapers, Twitter, or other outlets that constantly regurgitate the same stories. You'll hear the important stuff from family and friends. This is what podcaster James Altucher does, by the way. Instead of this garbage information, put good information in your brain. Read uplifting and helpful stuff, like the Stoics. Epictetus, for instance, found a great method to stop worrying about those kind of things. Of the things that exist, Zeus has put some in our control and some not in our control. Therefore, we must concern ourselves absolutely with the things that are under our control and entrust the things that are not in our control to the universe. Also, educate yourself on history. You'll notice that most of today's catastrophes already happened in a very similar form. History repeats itself. There was even a surprisingly similar virus in 2003 called SARS. Also read Buddhist teachings, practice equanimity and meditate. Get out of your head by grounding yourself. For instance, by practicing intense sports, sauna, or having sex. And finally, help others around you. This actually does make a difference and will make you feel better instead of complaining on social media. Okay. Again, if you like this, you can find more at findcalm.com/Sunday, where I share more of these types of ideas for free every week to your inbox. Before I show you some further unintentional ASMR, I wanted to talk a bit about intentional ASMR. And maybe you don't even like intentional ASMR so much, but still, I think there's some really great channels that have been emerging recently, many from South Korea actually. And I'm not going to present them all here. I just decided to make a bit of a compilation of some of my favorite triggers, but also put in some male voices, some female voices, and some really cool pics that I think you could enjoy. So here's my little compilation.
A cold brick. Other tools. Interesting. I'm sensing something a little. I think we are ready. I think we are close. I can feel the movement. Oh, this is a fine piece indeed.
Qassisimaagannaruta arluulluta immaqqamiina sorpiassanata ullumi issiaruungannaruta immaqa fiimmilaarutta maarla siaranguutanna sukataarluna assun toquusunnani ummiaeqqaani matuusorlu paaralugu uninganiarsarluni sukataarluna ingasattumak.
So this book has like little rubber things and scales to touch. Like this little dragon's belly up here. I like this dragon a lot. So it's something that you should typically avoid. So I would actually heed this advice here. You just find a hose who is purchasing said dragon. But he's got a little textured belly. So you have all these color codes on the side, and then it's basically paint by number, little letters. I think I need to weigh this down. Otherwise, it's going to be a bad time. So let me grab something to weigh this down with, and let's just do a little bit. We'll go for as long as we feel like it. Okay. So you peel back this, and then the canvas is sticky. So we're going to be working on like this small corner.
Just one more thing I wanted to say. If you kind of like these videos, these little ASMR shows, where I present intentional ASMR and unintentional ASMR pics, but also share some ideas that help you find calm, I do them quite regularly on my other channel, my own ASMR channel called Find Calm. I'm going to put the link in the description. And I also create my own ASMR videos, so if you kind of like this, go ahead and subscribe to my channel, Find Calm now. I would really appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, great. I've been really looking forward to show you some great unintentional ASMR that I've been collecting over these last weeks. And you can find them on my second unintentional ASMR channel, which is also linked in the description, the full versions. The first video I want to show you is from the inventor of copy and paste. His name is Larry Tesler, and He unfortunately recently passed away at age 74, I think. But it's quite amazing what he accomplished. He basically worked on a program called Gypsy. I think it was more of a graphic program or a text editor, and it had a lot of really important functions like changing the font type, the size, but also copying stuff and being able to put it somewhere else. So in this video he explains how he invented it, and he has this old computer that he used back in the day where he explains how everything works, and there's some nice tapping sounds too. And he has a pretty nice voice too.
I'm Larry Tesler, and I was with Xerox PARC from 1973 to 1980. My title while I was there was member of the research staff, which most of us had that title. While I was there, I got involved with a publishing project which resulted in a very unusual, for that time, text editor named Gypsy. What I'd like to do is show you what it was like to edit in Gypsy, in particular, the role of cut and paste, which were new commands at that time. I'm using an Alto computer, revived and resuscitated. At PARC, we developed other software, Smalltalk, for example. And in Smalltalk, it was much simpler. It's rectangles with words, a stack of words in them, is a pop-up menu. And we still use those today. They aren't the only kinds of menus, but they're still around today. And now it's key concept followed by write. And if we say paste cut as a chord.
Second, I found two videos about the Chemex coffee maker, which is apparently a German invention, like a German inventor coming to the USA to invent this and patent this really interesting coffee maker, which you might have seen. And the first video is of a pretty charismatic, funny, but also soft-spoken woman who is, I think, a coffee shop owner and explains how you use the Chemex coffee maker, and I really enjoyed it.
I wanted to show you some of the new lineup of an old product. This is the Chemex pour over. This has been around forever. Really nice design. It's just lasted for years and years, very popular, and people were always asking for more. So Chemex did it. This is the other one. This is the one that's pre-folded, and it works in this one or the 6 or the 10 ounce or 10 cup. So now you want to put, you have more folds like you can see. You put that toward the spout over here. And then we're going to moisten it just a little bit. Pre-moisten it. Okay. We're going to put that in here. I'll pre-ground it so it'll be all ready for you guys, but it is a fresh coffee. Pre-infusion like this. You know, I'm not great at this, but we'll make it work. Ooh, it smells nice. Can't identify what it is, but it really smells nice. I know it smells like coffee. That's not too strong, that's nice.
Okay, and the second video was actually by a guy reviewing the Chemex coffee maker, and for some reason it was also pretty soft-spoken and relaxing, even though it was a completely different channel.
Then the Chemex coffee maker. Then you'll stall your brew. Now, to counteract that, there is the design of the Chemex papers. Coffee looks beautiful in a Chemex.
Next, I want to show you a short clip of the comedian Frankie Boyle, who is a Scottish comedian and I think a bit of a political commentator. I don't really know his material, to be honest, but it was just really surprising how soft-spoken he was in this interview. It was the only interview that I really found of him where he was this soft-spoken, and also I really like his Scottish accent, which is always perfect, so check it out.
A lot of people are like that, but I think also there's like a mythology around creativity, isn't there? A mythology of inspiration and genius, which I barely believe in as a concept. And
you know, it's kind of hard for people sometimes to identify as really making stuff, which is a lot of grind. Do you know what I mean? So like, if you want to be a great director, there's a lot of getting up at 5 in the morning to get in a van and wreck your location, or, you know, if you want to be a stand-up, there's a lot of grim days where you write one joke that works, and that's a great day. Like, as a stand-up, like the rate we work at, if you wrote one really good joke a day, you'd be writing like 2.5 hours of material a year. You'd be like the most prolific stand-up in the country. I'm really enjoying it, but there are odd moments in the day you go, what am I supposed to be thinking about? Oh, nothing, I'm reading a book. My kids are at an age now where I can't really go away for a tour length type thing, or even the last thing I did was like a telly show where I was away for 3 weeks prep. So, you know, I mean, it's hard even to say to your kids, I'm going away for 3 weeks.
Then there's this pretty unusual video where a guy plays a Russian surface-to-air missile simulator game. The setting doesn't sound relaxing really, but his voice is pretty nice, and the way just this whole simulation is set up, I think, is pretty cool. It's pretty interesting, and it's also nice to see how people can have these really niche, strange hobbies and get a lot of pleasure out of it, which I like.
Hello everybody. Today I thought I would show you a very interesting simulator that I found quite some while ago. This right here is SAM simulator. We have the elevation and azimuth display for the target tracking radar, which is a machine designed, well, to track the airplanes really, while there's another radar responsible for locating them. Proceeding on, we have the Fire Control Officers panel, which shows missile readiness controls, the fire buttons, the target tracking computer output, altitude of the target plane. So we go to the target tracking officer and we adjust the velocity and set it to AS3 tracking. So now it's locked in elevation and azimuth, but we still need to find the exact range.
Then I also enjoyed a video by a woman who reviews hard candy, which is a bit unusual, and the woman seems to be a little crazy. I'm not sure, I might be mistaken, but I still enjoyed the crinkling sounds and her speaking. The quality is not that good, the video and audio quality, but still the setting is cool. I like her tasting the candy, and it made me kind of hungry too.
Hard candy, Maya lemon and raspberry, organic hard candy. No artificial dyes, no nuts, no GMOs, no corn syrup, gluten-free, wheat-free, casein-free. Isn't that nice? That's like embossed. Okay, let me show you. They're individually wrapped. They come in this neat can. You can put stamps or something in there later. Maya lemon and raspberry. Let me show you. Fruity, sweet. No corn syrup. Black rice syrup.
And then finally I want to present a video called, I think, 5 yokai appearing in Neo and their origins in Japanese tradition. And just so you know, Neo is a video game, which plays in the Edo period. I think it's a samurai, and it's a great game. And there you basically fight against yokai. And in this video, there's this really anime voiced girl who presents these different yokai, which I find pretty cool. And also I'm really excited about Neo 2, because apparently this is going to appear now in March or April. And it's one of my favorite games. It's a Souls-like, so to say, but I think it's better in many aspects than Dark Souls. It's really has been one of my favorite games, and if you like difficult games and if you like Japan, and if you like swords and samurais and ninjas, this game is for you. So still, please check out the video.
Kodama. The Kodama are tree spirits, similar to the Dryads, though they look much smaller and cuter. They usually live deep in the mountainous forests of Japan. These tree spirits can manifest itself outside of its main tree host and could wander very far from the trees they are living in. They usually tend the groves around the area and help maintain the balance of the ecosystem. They rarely show themselves to humans, but when they do, they usually show themselves in the form of either faint light orbs or in the form of small cute funny-looking creatures with a humanoid figure. Also, if you happen to get an echo which took long to return, there's a possibility that the Kodama is around. The Kodama are connected to the tree it inhabits. If the tree dies, the Kodamas will also die, and vice versa. If the tree it inhabits is cut down, it is believed that the whole area would be cursed, and the community that killed the tree will fall to ruin. Thus, the Kodama are seen as the god or protector of the forest that blesses the land it is in. And if you've seen some trees marked with a shimenawa, a sacred rope around it, that tree is considered the tree that houses the Kodama, and it would bring misfortune if it is cut down. Number 4. Wanyudo, or Wheel Monk. This yokai is very dangerous. Its appearance looks pretty weird as it's a flaming head of a man in the middle of a carriage wheel, or specifically an ox cart wheel.
Let's maybe talk about Corona a bit more. I know it's not such a pleasant topic, but I wondered, why does this make me anxious actually? Because probably it's not gonna affect me, but I think one big part of it is that it seems to be like this black swan event almost, and the randomness of it all seems almost unbearable to me. Because just imagine, a few months ago, let's just go with the official version here, okay? A few months ago, some Chinese person touched or ate a weird animal like a bat, or ate a bat soup. And now a few months later, there's 100,000 infected, almost 3,000 dead people, and we have a highly contagious virus at our hands. How random is this? I think it just basically shatters our illusion of control in this life, and it has many implications, and I did think about this quite a lot, also from a religious perspective, from a philosophical perspective. Why is it so scary to us? How can we cope with this? And why doesn't it have to be a bad thing? And I actually made a video about this, so here's a few moments that I still wanted to show you. So I asked myself, why is randomness so scary actually? I came across this quote which summarizes it quite well. What people fear most about tragedy is its randomness. A taxi cab jumps the curb and hits a pedestrian. A gun misfires and kills a bystander. Better to have some rational cause and effect between incident and injury. And if cause and effect aren't possible, better that there at least be some reward for all the suffering. By Jerry Kluger. What makes this randomness even more scary is that we usually don't know which trivial event could trigger such a catastrophe. You might have heard of the butterfly effect, which states that minimal changes and randomness in initial conditions can lead to massive changes in outcomes in later stages. Or in other words, can a butterfly flapping its wings cause a tsunami in Toronto? What's the butterfly in your life, and what chain of events will it trigger? One tiny decision, like leaving the house 1 minute later, might change everything in your life. And even if life's randomness makes no sense at all, like orphans being born with terrible diseases in a war zone, there's still the good catch-all phrase, God's ways are inscrutable, which basically means we can't understand what God does and why he does it, but he does have a plan for all of us. Does he, though? Seeing the cancer diagnosis without this illusion of meaning makes this thing happening to us appear cold, brutal, unforgiving, unfair, and almost unbearable. And this is why the Bible always tells us, don't be afraid, and God has a plan for you. And we also love these stories of people who endure terrible hardships but still manage to put themselves together and accomplish great things. That's where Nietzsche's saying comes into play, that which does not kill us makes us stronger. However, Have you considered survivorship bias in these cases? For every inspiring comic story, there might be 9 others who did fall apart from painful, traumatic things happening to them. Seneca's quote comes into mind, who says, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." I think many of us are guilty of this. And if you read in Reddit forums about all the new cases that pop up of the virus, then you will suffer much more and have all these scenarios in your head which drive you crazy, which aren't that useful after all. Then I think it's also super valuable to look at existentialism, which is philosophers like Kierkegaard, Nietzsche and Sartre, and which came to be much later in about the 19th century and was also heavily influenced by the horrors of 2 world wars. They are more in the ballpark of everything is random, nothing has any reason, and everything is kind of meaningless, as opposed to everything has a good reason. And I think Sartre's philosophy is really interesting in this regard, because he is really into the absurdity of the world. He says things are weirder than we think, and we maybe should just accept that the world is kind of absurd. And also to me, I was thinking about Kafka's book, The Metamorphosis, which you might know, where the protagonist, Gregor Samsa, wakes up as an ugly bug in his bed, and his family thinks he's gross, and he basically almost becomes insane and gets injured and dies in his little room. And it's just completely random, but also super scary, and who knows, maybe one day we might also get a virus which transforms us into bugs, which is insane to think about, but that's just how insane life can be and how random life can be. But on an individual level, I think it's useful that we notice that our life is short. We shouldn't be too attached to our health, to success, to our looks, or whatever it is. I think this is something we can really learn from the Buddhists. And maybe the lesson is really that your life and the cards you've been dealt at birth, but also throughout every day, are in fact quite random, and more often than not, absurd and cruel, rather than unexpectedly pleasant and uplifting. Because probably we notice the bad stuff more as well. But I do believe that we humans have the potential to adapt and thrive, even with shitty cards. Again, if you want to see the full video, you can go to Find Calm, my other channel, which is also linked in the description. But also I wanted to kind of rectify one thing, because I noticed afterwards that I was a bit pessimistic about it all, because I think I was focusing too much on how bad things might randomly happen to us. But randomness is neither bad nor good. And of course, we humans, from an evolution point of view, we will always focus more on the negative stuff. We won't even notice the good stuff that's randomly happening to us. But we should, I think. And I was thinking about my own life and how so many things randomly turned out well, and how often chance was on my side, how often luck was on my side. Just for instance, me meeting my girlfriend was some random evening. We didn't even really want to go out. I kind of lost my 2 friends. They were pretty drunk, and I randomly started chatting up this group of girls. And among them was my girlfriend. How random is that? My girlfriend of 5 years. And there were so many chances involved there that it's just incredible to think about it. And I would advise you to also look at the instances in your life where chance was on your side, and even the fact that we're living on this earth, that we were born, seems to be 1 in a million, 1 in a billion, 1 in a trillion chance, because it's so incredible that we got born at this very time with this technology in a relatively stable period, because before us there was chaos, and probably after us it's going to be long billions of years of chaos. So it's just incredibly lucky that we even got born onto this earth in this Milky Way. And actually many of us being born in the first world is incredibly lucky too, and having more or less caring parents and being able to afford an apartment and a computer, that's incredibly lucky too. So I think this is something we shouldn't forget when we think about these horror scenarios that could happen at any moment. And I think why I made this video is just to kind of cope with this randomness myself, because it's something that is a bit difficult for me, because I sometimes think about past things that didn't go so well, and it's not super easy for me to just forget it, because I do seem to have kind of a pain body who likes to dwell on those things, but it's not really useful. I think, like most things in life, we shouldn't believe that something bad happening to us will completely crush us. Like this virus, for instance, is going to completely wipe out the whole world. That's quite unlikely. But on the other hand, we also shouldn't be so naive to believe these comeback stories, these Hollywood movies, that all the bad things happening to us will make us much stronger, will make us a new superhero because we can overcome everything, and everything that doesn't kill us make us stronger. No, that's kind of naive too. If something really bad happens to us, that sucks. And probably that's always gonna kind of suck. So I think we should just be realistic in a way, but it's valuable to be positive and to think, hey, I can learn from everything, and everything that happens in the world and happens to me can teach me a valuable lesson and maybe help me to build more compassion and love. And maybe that's your mission then, to help others who struggle with similar things get through those things as well, because you're never the only one who faces these struggles in your life. There's always other ones who also face tragedy and similar diseases and similar things. There's one more thing that I wanted to talk about related to Corona, because who knows, maybe this will become an even bigger pandemic if the virus mutates or something. So I was already contemplating that maybe I will have to move to the mountains or to some lonely cabin, and I actually started looking up some remote, peaceful places where I could just flee if need be, maybe with my partner, and just live there. And honestly, me as an introvert, it does sound kind of amazing, and I like to imagine that I could live there without a problem for many, many years. So I just enjoyed looking at these places, these peaceful places, and I wanted to show some to you. I found this pretty cool site here with 131 little lonely houses for the solitary soul, in case we need to flee somewhere during the Corona pandemic. And yeah, the first one looks amazing, a cottage in the woods in Scotland. I really want to go to Scotland, and this looks amazing, even though a stone house is maybe not the most cozy place. And yeah, this one you might have seen already. It's apparently unknown where this is and who lives in this house specifically, but it's probably the biggest hermit ever, because you can't even get there without going on a boat. And it looks amazing, but kind of scary too, because it's kind of a high slope. But it's definitely a good place for an introvert, or if there's a zombie apocalypse. Another really cool Iceland place. These different small bumps in the ground looks interesting, kind of like a ski slope or something. But it does look like from a movie, from The Hobbit or something. A pretty cool winter hut. I wonder where it is from. New Zealand, yeah. I was definitely also thinking of New Zealand when I thought about a place to flee to, because there's so many nice remote places and beautiful nature, be it in the mountains or near the beachside. It's beautiful, and I could definitely imagine spending many years in New Zealand. Another hidden forest house. Pretty cool. Pretty small though. Oh, this is perfect. Icelandic mountains. All of this really makes me want to go to Iceland even more. This is, I think, my dream destination #1 right now. And I love the flowers and the beautiful snowy mountains in the background. And honestly, this type of house would be large enough for me. Faroe Island, Trollanes. Is that a house, or is it like a small lighthouse? I'm not sure. Wow, this place in Iceland looks cool. Even though, to be honest, Aurea Borealis or whatever it's called looks a bit photoshopped. Another great Iceland place. This could be Norway as well, from the looks of the house, but beautiful. Yes, Norway. I mean, I could really comfortably live in Norway for the rest of my life, I think. It's one of the most beautiful places I've been to. And I like the rough nature so much. And we also stayed at one pretty lonely place at a fjord, and it was just so peaceful and cozy. It's perfect. Another beautiful Iceland place. Yeah, this one is amazing. I've seen it somewhere. It's somewhere in Serbia, and it almost looks fake, but what a cool place to be at. And also I like the kayak. I really would love to have a kayak and just go on a river and just paddle around. One of the coolest sports, I think. Place in Vietnam. Lots of rice around it. Pretty cool. Looks similar in Bali or in Myanmar. Wow, that's really cool. In Nepal. I really want to go there too, to Nepal. That's a nice lonely place in France. Yeah, I mean there's tons of really nice old villages in France, like in Normandy or Bretagne, which aren't that expensive, and I could also imagine living there for a while if the pandemic gets too bad. A magical home in Poland. In some forest probably. Why not? Stoneham, Quebec, Canada. Pas mal. That's a really cool tiny house in Lithuania. Looks really ancient but super cozy. Cool, finally a German place, but honestly it looks kind of abandoned and a bit scary. Wow, this one, miniature house. I guess it's a little small, but it looks beautiful, kind of like a witch house too. That doesn't even look real. I don't know exactly what it is, but it looks really mysterious. Nepal, Pokhara. Wow, this one is amazing. Is this like a tree house? Really looks like it. I think in Papua New Guinea that's in the like rainforest or something, and these really are one of the last real tribes that almost have no contact to Western modern civilization. Super interesting to study them. I would be a bit scared of living so far up in the forest, to be honest. In the trees. Get some vertigo, definitely. That's nice too, Montana. I've heard good things about it. Very peaceful. Wow, this house is cool. What a cool tiny house. I think it would be fine for me to live in such a small house. This is beautiful too. Amazing. What a cute small tiny house in Denmark. So I guess my takeaway is Iceland has some of the best lonely tiny houses, so that might be a good idea. Just some remote place, maybe where you're surrounded by a forest, mountains, a lake, or the sea, so you can be totally lonely and safe and cozy. Perfect. Okay, great. Finally, I want to present a bit more unintentional ASMR that I really enjoyed. This time I'm not going to present it individually, just some different clips, some a bit unusual ones, so please bear with me, but I still found them somewhat relaxing or satisfying at least. And if you want to see the full versions, You can find them in the description as well, or on my second Unintentional ASMR channel. So here you go.
And going to the very back barrel, that's going to be our first key cut. So that's the first pin we're going to want to identify. Firmly place the pin ejector pin in the core. Give it a couple of good taps. Carefully remove the pin ejector. And now slowly rotate the block of wood and the core simultaneously. Using the key gauge, we're going to identify that the first cut should be a 7. The key lines up correctly, and we have now confirmed and identified that that first cut is a 7.
Today is Tuesday, and I am on my way to different thrift stores, hoping to bring you along with me and show you what I'm finding, what's on the shelves. Here is another leather piece for travel. It's a men's shaving kit, I would call this. I do pick up these type of items. I pick up Toomey, Cole Haan, Tommy Bahama. Quite a few of them I've done well with, but that one was not a good brand, and it wasn't in great shape, in my opinion. That last item was a cigar humidor. As I've said before, the wood aisle or brown aisle is always my favorite. I find the most items on this aisle. This was a little cigar box that somebody turned into a purse. How stinking cute is this?
In this video, we're going to talk a little bit about how to decode what the control key would be for an existing A2 system.
This is just a quick video to compare the LG B9 versus the C9 to help you decide if it's worth spending a few £100 more on the latter. On my right is the LG C9 and on my left is the LG B9. Both are 55-inch models which have been calibrated for both SDR and HDR. While this crushing of shadow detail can be calibrated out fairly easily in SDR, it's not as straightforward in HDR and Dolby Vision modes.
You fold it like that, and then you got one wrap, get another plate. It's getting real sloppy. I don't know all plates over here. This one, deluxe. You gotta see the real chefs. See? You see the technique right there? You don't want to just drop the cheese, you want to evenly spread the cheese like this. Bada bang, bada bam. And then you take this back in the microwave right here like this. And then again, you know, my favorite number is 30. I like to do 30-second meals.
You know, sometimes kind of hurts to be a minimalist. You know, I told people on my work, I am a minimalist.
Yes, or novel characters. Or it's a description of a character, I think. That is un personnage, comme un personnage de roman, mais très concret, très. That's why for me, masculinity is not an idea of body. It's really something that is sad about, because you play roles, and there's some moments where, you know, it's a jeu de rôle totally, and it applies to women and men. So.
All right, thank you so much for being here with me. I really had a great time. I really sincerely hope that none of you will be affected negatively by the coronavirus, and also your loved ones will be fine. I think we can really overcome this and grow as a human big family. And maybe we can learn from this too. Maybe we can learn by not destroying our earth so much. Maybe we can learn by treating our animals better and not keeping them in cages. And maybe we can learn by just paying our nurses more and just moving closer together, cooperate better, invest in science, and then soon fly to Mars, hopefully, to colonize it. I don't know. But I really appreciated you being here with me. And again, just as a reminder, I do these ASMR shows quite regularly on my own ASMR channel, Find Calm, which you can find in the description. And if you like to get weekly free updates on ASMR pics, unintentional ASMR pics, and also my ideas that I tend to try to write down, but also some book recommendations and some article recommendations, you can subscribe to my newsletter. I think you could like it at findcalm.com/Sunday. Thank you so much and talk to you soon.